Good morning. We looked at verse 15, and I want to read that again, but we're going to go all the way down through verse 18 and kind of focus down in 17 and 18 in particular. Verse 15, some indeed preach Christ from envy and rivalry, but others from goodwill. Verse 16, the latter, those from goodwill, do it out of love. Knowing that I'm put here for the defense of the gospel. They know why I'm in prison, Paul says. And so out of that, they're doing it because they love the gospel. They know that I love the gospel, and they're allied to me in love because we have a common love in the gospel. Verse 17, the former, those who preach from envy and rivalry, the former proclaim Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, but thinking to afflict me in my imprisonment. Hey, Paul's in prison. We could build our own kingdom. Paul's in prison. We'll get a following. Paul's in prison. People will ally to us. He sees their motive, and he's calling out their motive. But then he says in verse 18, what then? Only that in every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed, and in that I rejoice. Now, don't take this to mean that Paul's saying their attitude doesn't matter. If it's selfish, no big deal. No, he's recognizing that it's wrong, as we talked about when we looked at verse 15. It's wrong because the motive is wrong. The motive is poor, and that makes and sullies the preaching. But here's what I want you to see. Paul is just so happy that the gospel's being proclaimed, that at the end of the day, his primary focus is not who gets the credit at all, but it's that perhaps in the proclamation of the truth, clearly stated, then the Spirit will take the gospel and give it wings to the heart of someone. So what I want you to take away from this thought for the day is not, well, it doesn't, so Brian, does this nullify your previous thought for the day, that it doesn't really matter what our motive is because Christ is preached? No, it matters. What I want you to see is that Paul's not petty. Paul doesn't get caught up in the same things that his opponents do. Paul doesn't get caught up in the same things that those who are competing with him do. He's not interested in competition. Paul is interested in the proclamation of the gospel, that Christ would be preached. And he says, even if the words go out and the heart's wrong, there's a part of me says, I just get joy that Christ gets proclaimed, right? So I'm thankful that Christ gets proclaimed, even from people that I think might have wrong motives. That doesn't mean I'm going to support their ministries, but it means that maybe God will use them in some way because the power is in the message. The power is in the Spirit using the message. The power isn't reside in the proclaimer, right? Thankful Christ is proclaimed. I hope you are, and I hope you are a pure-hearted proclaimer for the glory of the King. Take care.